Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmic Portal. Today, we're going to be doing our At the Movie series, but we're going to be talking about what's coming up over the upcoming year. There have been a lot of things that have been introduced that we want to get right down to discussing. Um, and I know my wife is excited about some of the new movies coming out, so I guess let's just get started. Um, the first movie we want to talk about is The Hunger Games. Now, I think it's a prequel to the original series, as well as a prequel to the one that was about Snoke as a kid. So we're going back into the past again for this next movie. I believe this book came out last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it came out last year.
Okay. Did you know anything about what's going to be going on? I think it's what 75 years in the past, or
Well, it's 24 years before the pretty much Hunger Games that we know about, and it talks about when Haymouth or Hay Smith um, won his game. So it's the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games. So what I've seen in the previews, it looks pretty much similar to what we've seen with the other four or five movies. But it just mainly talks about what he went through when he won his Hunger Games. You know, of course, he's a lot younger. In the first Hunger movie, he kind of briefly said that he did, something a little bit out of the ordinary, and hopefully we'll find out with this new, I guess, prequel of the prequel set of
okay.
movies.
So this is after
It's the
the
50th.
okay. So still then after whatever the girl that won the last movie, um, where she was before, because Snoke was young in that movie.
Yeah.
So it's after that. Yeah. I think it would be better if they just went, in sequential order. Start at the beginning. But I'm excited to see it. I've watched all the other movies. Now, this is something I have not read. You've read the first three books?
Yeah, I read the first three. I kept on saying I was going to read the one that came out last year, and I just never did. I'm sure eventually I'll, pretty much get to it. But it's Sunrise on the Weakening. So I think this will be good. It's very popular. I know when I read I think I saw the movie first and really enjoyed the movie, and then went to read, the three books pretty much in order. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to make a lot of money. The Hunger Games was really popular when the first one came out. It comes out November 20th of this year.
Okay, so towards the end of the year, I believe there may have been one trailer out, but I can't remember. I think I saw it. So I'm always looking forward to seeing a twist to these stories. My problem with this is that the original ones were kids, so I wasn't a big fan of watching these kids kill each other. But let's see what happens with the next one. So we can only hope, right? So the next movie coming out is going to be Michael Jackson, a documentary of sorts. And this movie is actually the person playing Michael Jackson is his nephew, who looks remarkably just like him. So I'm somewhat excited to see it. I was a huge Michael Jackson fan as a kid. I actually saw him in concert when I was in the second grade. So I feel honored and thrilled that I did get that. Not a lot of people didn't get a chance to see him because, the when he went solo, the ticket prices went astronomical. When does this come out, and what are your thoughts on seeing this one?
This come out April 24th. Um, I mean, it's Michael, so obviously I'm gonna go to the movies and see it. I'm not really excited to see it. I hate to say it. Over the years, and especially since his death, you know, I feel like it's another documentary kind of sort of that most people already know about. I don't know what surprises that we're going to see by watching this movie, but anything about Michael Jackson's life pretty much fascinates me. So, I'm looking forward to see it, but I'm not like excited to see it. It's not one of those where, oh my goodness, it's coming out on Friday and maybe a week or two before I get the tickets. I kind of see myself, hey, Michael's out, let's go to the movie and see it. What you doing tonight? And yeah, but that's just my opinion of it.
Okay. I'm somewhat interested in seeing the movie because, like I said, I was a huge fan. I used to do the Thriller dance, like we all did.
He still does
You
on the
know,
cruise.
well, I remember when the video first aired, everybody was watching MTV and it only aired once an hour. So we would go out and play till that 1 hour time mark and then we'd all run back in the house to watch the video. So that was pretty much how everybody lived back then. So I'm somewhat excited. I was a huge, like I said, a huge Michael Jackson fan. So I definitely want to see this. And I guess we have a few more months for that to come out. All right, the next movie, and this one may be a big one for a lot of people, but we're looking at Avengers Doomsday. So this is going to be the big bad. We have Doctor Doom as the main bad person. I'm somewhat conflicted about it because they have Martin Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, so I figured why didn't they just hire somebody else instead of that storyline? But we will see what comes out. Fantastic Four was interesting. You got to see him in that at the end, even though you didn't see him, you knew he was in it. And now we're gonna get to finally see him as the titillating character from the Fantastic Four. So I hope it's going to be a good movie. I'm really looking forward to it. What are your thoughts on that
Um, I think this is going to be a fun movie. I don't know if anything, in my opinion, kind of can top Endgame. I'm going to be honest. But I think it's interesting that they chose him. I kind of agree with Mark a little bit. I don't know if I would. He was kind of the hero in, in Endgame, and to see the same face on a bad guy, I think it's going to be, somewhat interesting. This movie comes out in December 18th. Hopefully, it will still pretty much go on time. It'll be a pretty decent Christmas and kids movie. Kids will be right at getting out of school probably that weekend, so they're going to make money. You know, so I don't know. I think it's going to be good, but I do wish they would have picked somebody else. Iron Man, was just, I had tears in my eyes pretty much when he died in the game. So just seeing the same face being this character, I hope they do a good job.
one? I have to agree. I'm really hoping that they do a good job. So we'll see what happens with Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four. I even heard that we're getting Chris back as Captain America, which is fine. Um, I, you know, I'm okay with that, I guess. But let's just see what comes up. Hopefully, this movie is better than, or at least gets the attention that it should, considering that their past movies have not done as well as they should have done. So we can only hope when this comes out, everybody will be excited to see it. All right, so the next one is Toy Story 5. So this is the fifth installment in this three-part movie that should have probably stopped at number three, but now we're at number five, and now we have a tablet that somebody is all into. So
Lady Pat is the tablet name.
okay, so it's a tablet. Yeah, I understand. Kids are really into tablets, so it's something that everybody is going to have to face at some point, where they no longer play with toys. They just want to go online and they're going to be playing Roblox or whatever they're playing on the tablet. So I don't know what's going to happen considering in the last movie Woody became a lost toy. So I don't have any idea how they're going to resolve this. But what are your thoughts on this
I agree. Woody left Bonnie to find other lost toys, pretty much. So obviously, we got to have the team back together. Like it shows in this picture here. So I can only assume that maybe he left and heard what was going on with Bonnie and this new lily pad, so to speak, and comes back to try to save the day.
one? Okay.
I don't know. This movie comes out June 19th. And summer, just like a few moments ago when I mentioned the Christmas movie with, the Avengers, this is going to be a summer movie. The kids here in Virginia will just be getting out of school, and parents need to do something to celebrate the kids staying home from the summer.
I guess that's true, but do we really need a fifth version of this movie? I don't think so, but who knows?
It's gonna
Maybe.
make money.
Yeah. Okay. It probably
It's gonna
will.
make money.
But again, I thought the way they ended it with the third movie was probably one of the better ways. If they would have just stopped there, it would have been very good. The fourth movie was, okay. I saw it, but and it was just because I, taken my kids to see the other one, so we actually went to the movies and saw it, and then we were like, oh, that was a movie, so we're gonna take our goddaughter to the movies when she's here to see this as well. So, and then she will be 9, so I'd like to get her take on how she feels about this. We're gonna have to watch the other ones first, so she'll get an idea of what's going on. But hopefully she'll enjoy it. You never can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next movie is Dune Messiah. Now, I've read quite a few of these books, and I thoroughly enjoy the Dune world. Um, these movies are entertaining. I'll put it that way. They are very entertaining. But if you've read the books and then see this doesn't make a lot of sense. They take liberty with a lot of it, and I'll just go to the first movie. We'll start there, where um, in the book, the first book takes place over a series of about 10 years for him to do everything that he did. In the first movie, it took place in less than 9 months because the mother was pregnant the whole time. She didn't even give birth in the second movie. So we're still looking at 9 months that she was pregnant before any of this happened. So I think everything is going a little bit too fast. I don't know how this one is going to go. I do want to see it because, like I said, I enjoy the universe. I think Dune is a fantastic story, and if you've never read it, I thoroughly suggest that you get into the world. You would be surprised at how this book has influenced so much um, sci-fi that we look at today. Because Dune influenced Star Wars, it influenced a little bit of Star Trek, but definitely Star Wars. So, and if you love Star Wars, I guarantee you're going to enjoy the book. The movie's good, but if you think about the timeline, it just doesn't make sense. What do you think?
I've never read any of the books. My dad pretty much had all of them from up to the time I believe that his death. We actually, have a lot of those. Um, so for me, I just kind of thought that I wanted to read the book, but I thought it might have been kind of hard for me to read the book, so I just never actually picked it up. I like the original one that actually came out in '84. There's kind of two versions of that movie, a shorter version and a longer version. I like the longer version a lot better. This newer Doom, the special effects are awesome. I love how the worms look. But from what my dad have said, what Mark have said, even from what the TV show that came out in looks like '84, I can definitely see some discrepancies with the newer movies compared to the '84 version where I watch regularly. I mean, if it was on now and I was watching the Olympics and I saw it was on, I would turn to it, or there are even times when I'll turn to see which Dune it was, see that is the newer one, and then turn to something else, just because I'm a major fan of the original one. That's quite to say, I am going to get tickets for this, like the second it comes out. Dolby, my favorite, two seats that Mark and I would like to get. I cannot wait to see it. But I'm just curious where they're going from, just from what I've seen in '84 movies, the 2000 movies, part one and part two. So, let's see some worms.
Okay. Yeah, I think which is kind of weird, like the 84 version is good, but that one has issues as well because at the end of the 84 movie, it rains. And that was so dumb. That made no sense whatsoever because that would have killed the worms. So that was my problem with that one. The one that came out in the early 2000s, which was on sci fi, that one was more book accurate, but because it was on sci-fi, the special effects were horrible, but the story was good. So it has its wins and loses. It was more close related to the book, so I like that one better. I enjoyed the original '84 version because it was a good movie and I saw it back then before I ever read any of the books. And then when I read the books, I was like, yeah, that makes no sense. So that was dumb. So, but the story wasn't bad. This one, special effects wise, is amazing. The story is pretty good. Just the timeline sucks. So, like I said, if you do get an opportunity to see it, if you get a even more opportunity to read it, I 100% say read the books. You'll fall in love with this universe.
Now, I do want to say that there is a TV show on
HBO.
HBO that talks about
The mothers.
the mothers,
The Reverend mothers. The
yeah,
benediction mothers.
8, 9, whoever, many, many, many years before Paul. So that show is interesting. For me, it's still not like the '84 version, but I think it's not bad.
Yeah, that's true. And because it has a TV show, it is a franchise.
Ooh, and I do want to say one other thing. It actually comes out the same day as Avengers. So
December 18th?
yes. So that will be curious to see where people go.
Oh, that is interesting. All right, so the next one we're talking about is Resident Evil because this is a reboot. Um, I am not sure how I feel about it. I enjoyed the version with what's her name?
Yeah.
The one that came out. They had like 6 or 7 movies. I love those movies, but this one I don't know. They're starting over again, so I have no knowledge about what's going on with this one. Do you know anything about it?
I have yet to see all of them. I don't really like movies like this. So I originally started watching them right before my job was closing, and we didn't have a lot of customers, and I brought a DVD in and decided just to pick something. It's the middle of the day, so I probably won't go to the movies to see it. I definitely will probably have to see maybe the last two. I don't think I've watched before even watched this on regular TV. I can say it is the 30th anniversary. It talks about the Umbrella Corporation, And this movie comes out on September 18th.
Okay. So the original one was Mila Jovovich. I like her. I thought she did a great job in the movies. I've watched all of them. Um, the last one, well, now there is Raccoon City. I've never seen because that wasn't her, and then I didn't watch the cartoon. So those are the only two that I did not watch. But I watched all of the movies in her storyline because I enjoyed all of them. They did get not really gory. They got more of the fantasy part of it, which I thought was kind of cool.
So you didn't think it made sense?
Well, it makes sense for the video game, so yeah. I mean, in itself, it's just a weird movie, but yeah, I'm excited to see it. If it's a reboot, I guess I can go with that because, like I said, I didn't watch Raccoon City, which was I think the last one, and then there was a cartoon that came out that I didn't see as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this. So we'll see what happens. So the next movie we're talking is Ready or Not 2. Now, I saw this on TV. My wife went to the movies and saw Ready or Not, the first one, since they were hunting her. She married into this family. They sold their souls to the devil to be rich. And when they got married, they pulled a word out of the hat, which was hide and seek. You know, so she had to play hide and seek and survive the night from her new family hunting her down. Even the kids were hunting her down in the first one. So she survived, which was quite interesting. And then they all exploded. So that was so funny. So now we pick up on Ready or Not 2 from the trailer. Uh, Now, every family that has done this is hunting her down and her sister because if she didn't play, they were just going to kill her sister. So that's where we get the premise of this movie. And I believe she has another 24 hours to live um, over these families. So I think this time I will go to the movies and see it. I didn't want to see the other one because I thought, oh, that's just a dumb movie. But it was fun when I did finally watch it. I didn't have any issues with it. My wife did go to the movies and see it with our daughter. What do you think about what we saw as a preview to this?
Well, speaking of the first movie, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It was more Zoe, saw the preview. She said, let's go. And I was like, okay. I thought it was cute. I thought it was something different. So, the second movie, hopefully they won't try to redo the same aspect as the first one. You know, I don't know if they should have done a part two. I think the first one would have been a really good standalone. She got married, and didn't realize, how corrupted, so to speak, the newly family that she's involved with now has or is. So I kind of feel like part two is pretty much the same thing, except for it being her immediate new family, with it being her husband's, parents and siblings and uncle. It's, a group of families, like an organization. And, she got to play the game just kind of to try to survive. Kind of feel like we've seen it already in the first one, but definitely want to go and see it, and hopefully they'll give us some surprises, with the second movie.
I agree. I don't see how any of the hunting can be any different, except for hey, we've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer as one of the hunters this time. So um, it should be somewhat interesting. And she has somebody with her, so her sister's with her. I don't know if her sister's going to be dead weight or what, going forward in this movie. So I think that's the twist that we're getting in these. So it should be fun. When does this one come out?
This one comes out March 20th, so next month.
Okay, so real soon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, along the same lines as that movie is They Will Kill You. So this movie stars Zaza Beetz And it is in the same line as Ready or Not, because this one is at the hotel where these also the same idea where they sold their souls to the devil, but they need a sacrifice. So she is hired as a maid, as a sacrifice to the people of this hotel. But I think things backfire from what I've seen in the trailer. So I am really looking forward to this movie. Not much else that I can say about it. I saw the trailer a few weeks ago, and I was kind of excited. This movie also comes out next month. What did you think when I showed you the trailer of it?
I actually never heard of this movie or didn't know anything about it until we went to the movies, saw the trailer, the Mark mentions it to me. So, if I enjoyed Ready or Not, I don't see why I would not enjoy this one. So, I don't know too much about it. I haven't done too much lookup on it, other than the few things that we did. We talked about it, and just the idea that it's pretty much the same concept as Ready or Not. This movie comes out March 27th, so a week after Ready or Not. I don't know if that's kind of smart, considering these two movies are very similar. You
They're
know,
related because I think
yeah,
it's in the same
oh,
universe.
but it's not you don't think it's a continuation.
It's just a part of the same universe, is what they said. So it's the people that own the hotel could be in the second movie or something like that. So
I don't
yeah,
know. And from what I've seen in the preview, it doesn't look like they have anything to do with each other. But we can see. It kind of just reminds me of when Armageddon came out and Deep Impact.
yeah,
They both came out so close together. I saw both of them at the movies, but should they came out so close together, because even though I thought Deep Impact was a decent movie, I felt like Armageddon kind of shadowed it. It just wasn't. Who saw it after you saw Bruce Willis?
yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to be the same, but we should find out next month.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to this one. We'll see what happens. So the next movie we have is Masters of the Universe.
He-Man.
It is He-Man, and the preview looks interesting. There's some parts that I'm not too thrilled about, but other parts that I can't wait to see. I watched He-Man as a kid. I know a lot of people my age did. We all stood outside, put our hands up, said, "By the power of Grayskull." And then I have the power. So we all did that. And then we ride around on our fake lions, fighting whatever beasts were out there. So I am somewhat looking forward to this. What about you?
Well, this movie comes out June 5th. Of course, I was a big He-Man fan, but when Shira came out, I kind of felt like Shira was a little bit better. As long as it's better than that Ralph Landon
Dolph
movie,
Lundgren.
yeah, that movie that came out when he did He-Man. I'm assuming it will be pretty decent. I'm not really looking forward to see it, and that could just be because of that last movie that I don't think I wrote down when it came out.
It was in the 80s.
It was in the 80s.
It was in the 80s. Now, I like the recent cartoon. Well, there was an earlier cartoon that came out in the early 2000s.
87.
Okay, so I like the original cartoon. That, like I said, in the 80s cartoon. I like the early 2000s cartoon. The one that just recently came on Netflix wasn't really too much of a He-Man because he was hardly in it. It was more of the other characters, more so than He-Man. But, I still love the story of He-Man, so I always watch them whenever they come out. This is nothing new. The 87 version wasn't really He-Man because they spent more time on Earth and they were looking for the magical keyboard so they can play music, and then the music can run whatever. So that was different. This one, I hope, is more to the heart of He-Man, where they're fighting Skeletor and the Evil, and we'll get to see Castle Grayskull. We'll get to see all of those things. We never even got to see the Lion in the original He-Man movie, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
they do a better job at this. So I am looking forward to it. Um, of the characters that I'm showing here, they don't look bad. Skeletor looks pretty good. So I do hope it is a good movie. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen the previews a few times at the movies. Not excited. I hate to say it. So far the previews hasn't. Ooh, I gotta go and see it. I'm going to go and see it though, but right now it's not where I gotta see it or call my daughter up or ask Zoe if she wants to go. Right now I'm not feeling it that way, but we have the AMC passes and I'm gonna get my money's worth.
Okay. All right. So next we have Mandalorian and Grogu. So this comes out. I'm just going to go with this. It comes out May 22nd. It's been what 2 or 3 years since the Grogu TV show was last on. Um, I will see it because it's in the Star Wars universe. Am I excited to see it? I gotta say no. I'm not that excited about it, but I do want to see it because it is Star Wars. So I will support it in that aspect. I watched the trailer for it. It was okay. Um, that's pretty much all I can say about it. What are your thoughts on it?
I 100% agree everything you said. I love Star Wars. Of course, Star Trek is better. But it's people's going to go to the movies to see it just to the point of how much money it makes will be into question. Because they're probably spending a lot of it to kind of change of what we thought of or if you think of Star Wars, probably the last couple of years. So, especially when it comes to the TV shows that's been on it, they haven't been all that great, in my opinion. I love Sigourney Weaver, so I am excited that she's going to be in it. But I don't know. I'm not excited. Excited. Hopefully, from the world of Star Wars and what's going on at Disney. I hope that's not the reason why I feel this way. Sometimes when you read reviews or see what's going on within the company, it could kind of change how you truly feel about something. So, and even though for these movies I watched all the trailers, I'm not one to really want to go out and see them. I rather wait for me to go to the movies and see it just because I want to be excited. And at this point, I've seen his trailer pretty much everywhere online, the movies, on TV, during the Super Bowl. So, mm, not thrilled, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'll see it because I love Star Wars, but it's not something that I'm super excited to see. But like again, May 22nd, we'll be at the theater watching it, and hopefully everything is good. So the next one we're looking at is Scream 7. So again, another movie that probably should have stopped at 3, and now we're on the seventh one, and this one is going back to one of the original killers in the first movie that
Well,
ever.
we're assuming
No, he's in it.
he's in it, but it could be a flashback. We don't know.
Okay, but we also have Nev Campbell back in the role. So
Sydney.
yes, she's Sydney again. So let's see how this goes. I'm okay seeing it. I've watched every other one. It was something that I grew to love. The first one, I didn't want to see it when it first came out, but then I watched it and I was thoroughly impressed by it. So I started watching all of them. I thought Back to 3 again was a very good ending, and then we got 4, and then we got 5, and then we got 6, and now we're on number 7. So yay! At this point, it's becoming like Friday the 13th, Halloween. Halloween has what, 13 movies or so. Friday the 13th has 12. Even Nightmare on Elm Street has like six or seven. So we're in that realm of horror stories. And at some point, you're going to run out of ways of killing people, even
Yeah.
though they have not done that yet. So, uh, again, I will go see it, because I've grown to love the first one. And like I said, I just continue to watch these. The story is interesting. It's always cool to try to figure out who the killer is. So that part is interesting, but it could have stopped a while back. What are your thoughts on this
I love these movies. If it was on right now, I'll probably go ahead and watch it. Maybe not necessarily that last one, but it's enjoyable. And considering I kind of don't like movies like these, I watch it pretty much every time it comes on TV. Um, Seeing how the people, get killed in it is, interesting. Um, but no matter how much I enjoy it, I kind of agree with Mark a little bit. Where do you need to make another one? I don't know. It comes out February 27th. I'm actually surprised that I've not got my ticket yet, so I might kind of do that tonight when we get off of here. But I will rewatch all six before I go to the movies to see this one. Just they kind of course intertwine with each other. Who the killer is, Sydney, the ghost face. So that's something that I would definitely do. Um, yeah, it's I hate to say it, even look at the popcorn bucket that I've looked at it a few times. Don't think I'm gonna spend $45 to get it if that's how much it costs. But yeah, I'll probably get the ticket tonight. I'm sure it's already showing seats for it.
one? Okay, well, we'll see what happens. All right, and the next movie we have is Jumanji,
Jumanji.
and this is the third Jumanji. Not much is really known about it, except for I think it's supposed to take place in the real world this time. So I have nothing else I can say. It's the third one in the series with The Rock. So hopefully it's a good movie. What are your thoughts on this one?
This is another movie that I actually enjoy. This movie's coming out December 11th. The original came out in '95. That was with Robin Williams, and then the other ones followed many, many years later. I think the people that they pick for these roles, Jack Black, I just love how he plays, a woman in this set of series. I'm not a big fan of him, but I think he did excellent with that. Even Kevin Hart's character, Karen, The Rock, I think they work well together. And I do know The Rock and Kevin are actually really good friends now because of these movie sets. The last movie we did see where they went home and they, I think it was some ostrich was running down the street, so they know something happened when it came to the game. So I definitely will get these tickets when I hear they're going on sale. I mean, we got plenty of time now, but I agree with Mark. We haven't heard too much about it, so definitely looking forward to see it.
Okay, so we just got to wait to see when it comes out. Hopefully we'll get a trailer soon on this movie. All right, next we have Spider-Man: Brand New Day. So this is number four with Tom Holland. So I think he is in New York City now. I'm not New York. He's in. I think he's is he in New York or he's in England,
Mhm.
fighting crime as well. So this will be the lead up to Doomsday. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. Um, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, this movie come out on July 31st. I see the young lady that was in Stranger Things, so I actually kind of liked her character in that series. I've never been a really big Spider-Man fan. Um, I'm kind of more of a serious girl, and just from what I grew up watching the cartoons, I thought he was just a little, I don't know, not necessarily young, but
Cocky.
okay, cocky. You know, so I'm gonna go and see it. Who knows who's my favorite Spider-Man? I couldn't even answer that question. Just because he's Spider-Man, it's okay. I do think he's doing a really good job of playing Spider-Man. Loved him in Avengers, but just love Endgame anyway. So looking forward to see it.
I'm actually wearing Spider-Man.
Oh,
I love Spider-Man. He is my favorite Marvel character. My favorite character is still DC Superman, but Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Some of the movies I have to say have been a little bit off because they are trying to put him in the bigger world of Marvel instead of keeping him in his own Spider-Man world where he's doing his street level crime fighting instead of him always having to do something so epic. And I think that's where they're having issues with the story with it. But who knows? I again, I'm looking forward to this. Let's see what does come up. And yeah, I do have to agree with you there, Rob. Nicolas Cage series, Spider Man is going to be awesome. Especially, I'm going to try to watch it in the black and white because I think that'll be kind of cool to see it in the black and white like it was done. So this I am also looking forward to. When is this one coming out?
Spider-Man, July 31st.
Okay, so you'll have a few months prior to the Avengers level threat. So we should see what's going to happen from this movie. We should get that going forward into Doomsday. So I hope it's a good movie. I really want to see it. You got to remember that nobody knows he's Peter Parker's Spider Man.
Which sucked. I did not like that at the end of the movie.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. So yeah, again, I'm looking forward to it. And then next we have Mortal Kombat. We actually have Johnny Cage, Katana, and Jade. This will be the second in the newer series of Mortal Kombat. I enjoyed the first one. I know it didn't, for some reason, not a lot of people saw it, but I thought the other one was quite good. I recently watched it again. I love the storyline for Mortal Kombat. The original movie that came out back in the 90s, I love that soundtrack. I still listen to it every now and then because it's got great music. So the only thing I have to say about this one, with him being Johnny Cage, is I think he's a little too old. I wish they'd chosen somebody younger. But other than that, I'm 100% down to see this. What about your thoughts?
This movie come out on May 8th. The original one actually came out in '95. Then part two to that one in '97.
We don't talk about part two.
I agree. We don't really need to talk about part two. I probably will watch, the movies again from the original one, then the newer movie part one, and yes, probably part two. Mortal Kombat in the '80s was a really big game. Everybody was playing it. I think that was on Sega Genesis. I think it
Yeah.
was, which the guy from that invented Sega Genesis actually recently passed, like yesterday or today. So, but I'm looking forward to see it. I think it's going to be good. It's an action movie. I like action movies. I want to see people get killed and hurt. Yeah, I know. But I think it's going to be good. I don't know if the soundtrack, if it's going to be any good as Mark said that first one. I even have to admit it was really good music. When you hear it, you just want to ooh do 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 do. So yeah, I agree. His character, I don't know how old Johnny's supposed to be
would
in
think he would be in
in
his
that.
30s.
Yeah, and then obviously,
He's close to 50.
he's close to 50. Great character, love him in Star Trek,
Hmm.
but let's see what physicality that he does in this movie. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have to agree. The other ones I thoroughly enjoyed. I remember the original movie; the people in it that did not know how to do the stunts trained so hard to prepare for this role. So I'm hoping that he does the same level that they've done.
I think he does.
So yeah, I can't wait to see the movie. I probably watch the first one in this series again, but and I'll watch the first one, but I definitely would not watch the second one
Of the older
of
series.
the older series. And I love the cartoon. The animated movies are 100% awesome. If you do get to see them, they're done by DC, the DC animated universe. They fall in that category, so they're pretty much DC movies. And they are 100% worth watching. If you get a chance to see it, they have flawless victories, and they are, it's teaming with fatality. So remember that it is not kid friendly. So just remember that.
I
But
remember that.
you will definitely see a fatality. Even in the first movie, there was fatality in that
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see this one. All right, so the next one we're looking at is Scream 6.
Scary
I mean,
movie.
I'm sorry. God, just saw Scream.
Scream is at 7.
Scream is at 7. So Scary Movie 6, which brings back the Wayans brothers to do this movie. So in that aspect, I'm excited to see it. I stopped. I think I went to 4. I didn't see 5. I don't even know if I saw 4 because I think they left after 2. I don't think they did 3. So um, yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I have not heard anything about this movie at all, but from what I hear, I think everybody's back. Have you heard anything?
He claims I've seen the first one. I don't really remember seeing the first one, but he keeps on telling me that we went to the movies to see it. It's a comedy, I kind of like not really big on comedies, but this movie come out on June 12th. The original one came out in 2001, and the last movie, which was part 5, came out in 2013. So it's been quite a few years since this movie's been there. I know people talk about it, at least when it comes to the first movie. Because I haven't seen the other ones, and I know I haven't seen the other ones. I don't know too much on it, so I would think you're going to get a lot of people, probably our age, to go and see it, to revisit it, or hope to revisit it, what they like about the first movie. That's really all I can say about this one because I'm not going to be able to see this.
All right. So, like I said, I've not seen any information on this at all. I just know the Wayne's brothers are back, so I'm looking forward to that. The first one was the best. The second one was pretty funny, but still doesn't beat the first one. It was so full of nostalgia. Yeah, it was a good movie. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So the next one, I am looking forward to Supergirl, just because it's DC. I love the DC universe. I'm a huge, like I said, Superman fan. So this is right up that alley. A lot of people don't know, but Supergirl is way more powerful than Superman, and I hope they show that in this movie. Now I know some people are not excited about it just because of what's going on with certain things about her, and how she was portrayed in the Superman movie from last year. So we shall see. I enjoyed the trailer. We got to see Lobo. Can't wait to see how that goes. What are your thoughts on this?
I know, and I don't even know what movie we went and we saw when the very first time I saw the trailer to this. I did not like it. I did not understand, and I've never read the comic books. I've watched a few of the DC movies with Mark. I remember watching her being some of the cartoons growing up. I didn't like the idea that she was drunk. I didn't understand. It kind of looked like she was a little selfish in that 2 minute clip. And so far, I'm not really, oops, eager to see it. You know, Lobo, he's always an interesting character, so I do like the idea that, he's going to be in it. Um, just so far, what I've seen, I'm not thrilled. I mean, he loves Superman. It's all in the room in his car. I can just go on and on. So obviously, probably the first week that Wednesday, Thursday is going to go out. We're going to go to the movies to see it. Um, Hopefully, by me seeing it, it will change my mind that I can talk more positivity about this movie. But so far, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my love, but no.
All right. To each his own. I know a lot of people say that. I think she's going to do a way better job than the TV show Supergirl.
Oh yeah,
CW. The CW. That was so bad. And then
the movie that was in '84 too.
Well, that was bad. It was a bad movie. But the character is such a good character, and I don't understand why she doesn't translate well to live action. And I know it's the writing because when you watch a DC animated movie, it's way 100 times better than what you get live action wise. And I can't figure out if they can get the animation right, why can't they get the live action right? So I hope we get something good. I know some people are upset that James Gunn is involved, but he didn't write this at all. This is not him writing or him directing. He's just in charge of the studio. So I'm hoping that this is good. I'm going to see it a few times probably myself before I purchase it. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to. All right, next, this one is a reboot of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So we're going back to Narnia, and I think they're starting over at number one again.
Yeah.
And this is on, it's a Netflix movie, but it's still going to the movie theaters, I think for a very short
At
time.
least right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it because it is going to be a series on Netflix, but I think they're going to try to do a theatrical release. But I'm not quite sure about that. So this comes out when?
November 26th.
Okay, so again towards the end of the year. I've watched the other movies. I've never read these books. I was tempted to read them till I saw how many they were, and then I looked at the synopsis of each of the books, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy that. So I did not read them, but I did see the other movies, and I think there were three or four.
Three.
There were three of the originals, so we're starting back from one again. So this, what is it? The Sons of Adams and the Daughters of Eve, who get to go to Narnia and become kings and queens and go through the wardrobe, meet the lion, and they have to fight the witch. So we all know the story. Just have to see how Netflix does with it. So, what are your thoughts about this coming
out? For me, this is a kind of, at least the other three movies, something that I watched once. If it was on TV, I would not turn to it. Even the original one, I thought it was good, but not good enough for me to really sit down to rewatch it. I've never read the books, so I don't know. I don't want to speak negative on something that it's so far along down the road with it being coming out in November that we haven't heard too much on it. Just that it is coming out. So hopefully it will be on schedule. A lot of movies these days, they have to rewrite and change this, change that. So hopefully this won't fall along with that. It'll be the perfect time for Thanksgiving. So if it's going to be, really kid friendly, like I kind of feel like the other ones were, it'll be a good way for people to sit down with them over the Thanksgiving break and watch it with the family.
Okay, well, that's something positive. So hopefully, like I said, I have a hard time going to see a remake of something because especially if they're doing the exact same. I've already seen it, but who knows? We'll give it an opportunity to see how well it does. And the next movie, which is our last movie, is The Odyssey. So this is, if you've read, back in high school, I had to read these. So the first one was the Iliad, then we had the Odyssey, which the Iliad was the fight of Troy, which lasted 10 years. The Odyssey is his 10-year return home. Ulysses takes 10 years to get home after the war. So he's been gone theoretically for 20 years before he gets back home to his wife and son. So this movie is going to deal with his journey from Troy back to Greece, um, to be with his family and all of the trials that he goes through. Um, like I said, I've read this, back in the day. I remember some of the labors and things that he went through. So I'm somewhat excited to see it done in a live action form because I don't think I've ever seen a story about this at all, ever. So this will be something different. I
Actually,
don't know.
in I want to say the 90s. Oh my goodness, I cannot remember his name. It was a TV movie that came on, miniseries.
Oh,
Uh, I can't think of the actor's name. I mean, he's probably passed now. He was in. He's gonna kill me. But so there has been other programming on this. So I'm very excited to see. I've always thought this part of I guess history, so to speak, was always seemed interesting. I read this story. I read the other story. So I can't wait to see it. So I think it's going to be good. I like the idea of the swords and, him going through his trials and what he did and things that he should or shouldn't have done to get back home. I think it's going to be interesting. And I've always been a big Mac Daniel fan. So I think it's going to be good.
okay. So yeah, we'll have to see how that does. I think, like I said, I think it should be a pretty good movie. I'm somewhat looking forward to it because, like I said, I did enjoy the story reading it as a kid. This will be, for me, I think it is my first time ever seeing it in live action. I remember there was a cartoon, but it was more of a space odyssey called Ulysses. So I remember that from back in the 80s. But yeah, I think it should be something interesting to see. So, we will do our reviews after each of these movies. There hasn't been anything new coming out. I think the newest movie that's coming out would be Screen 7. That's what would the next one.
No, I want to see Crime 101.
Oh yeah,
We're going to go see Crime 101.
yeah.
Probably after the Olympics, though.
Okay. Well, we'll see because I don't want to see
We
that.
are anyway.
But other than that, join us next time. We'll probably be talking about that movie if I see it, or my wife will be discussing it by herself while I sit here and just
No,
stare at
I'm
her.
not going to the movies by myself.
I will sit there. I can sleep through a movie, so that would be fine too. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But join us next time. We will be back at the movies talking about the next thing that's coming out. Hopefully, everything else. You know, other than that, I don't think we have anything else coming up besides that one. And then we have a few movies next month that I am looking forward to seeing. So we'll be talking about those then. So we'll see you till next.
Well, hold on before you go.
Okay.
One thing I do want to say is, you know, movies are out there for our enjoyment. And within the last whatever how many years, you can tell the audience size has shrink. I know originally, I grew up, my dad and I would go to see anything and everything at the movies, and I can definitely tell times has changed from waiting in line, from, seeing a full theater and enjoying a good movie in the dark with a surround. I know movies cost a lot of money. A family of four easily can probably spend $60 to $100 easily. When you talk about tickets, you got to get popcorn. You got to love the popcorn, drinks. But just keep in mind, even with the costs, please still see some of these movies in the theaters because we hear on the news, we hear, on Facebook, YouTube, that a lot of theaters are closing. And there's nothing like being in a dark theater, sitting in that chair, and watching a movie. Watching it from home is good and it's cheaper, but just, some of these effects, we're not going to see if it's just coming on regular TV. You know what I'm saying? So pick a movie, pick a couple of movies, go and see it. Because I don't want it to be one of those things where, man, there's no more theaters, and you just can't go anymore. Our Regal in Newport News, closed a couple of months ago. We have AMC in Hampton that we have our movie passes to see. So that right there just shows that people aren't spending money by going to the movies, and I think it's kind of sad. Just something that I always enjoy doing with my dad growing up. So try to make a couple of movies over the summer.
Okay, we'll do that then. Until next time, everybody.